Hey, I'm Noggs, and this is Noggs House. Today we are talking about the Industrial Revolution. Imagine waking up before the sun, not to the sound of a rooster, but to a loud metal whistle shaking your windows. Instead of walking out into a green field, you step outside into a cloud of thick black smoke that blocks out the sky. This was life for millions of people when the world completely changed its way of making things. It all started back in Great Britain during the 1700s. And it was all fueled by one thing hidden deep underground: coal. Great Britain had massive piles of this black rock just waiting to be dug up. Before this, if you wanted to make a shirt, you had to spin the thread by hand at home. But then, inventors built massive machines like the spinning jenny and the power loom. These machines could spin thread and weave cloth faster than 100 people combined. So how did they power these giant metal beasts? Well, at first, factories had to be built right next to rushing waters to use water wheels for power. But then came the steam engine. This invention changed everything because it used boiling water and coal to create massive amounts of energy. It was like giving factories their own artificial muscles. Now you could build a factory anywhere you wanted, even miles away from a river. Pretty wild, right? But this meant workers had to leave their quiet farms and move into crowded, rapidly growing cities. This massive move is called urbanization. Urbanization means when a lot of people move from the countryside into cities. Life for these workers changed overnight. They weren't independent craftsmen making their own schedules anymore. Instead, they became machine operators ruled by the strict ticking of a clock. To keep these expensive machines running all the time, factories started operating 24 hours a day using work shifts. People were forced to work brutal 12-hour days. And because the work was so intense, factory owners started hiring women and even small children. They were paid way less than men and had to do incredibly dangerous jobs around heavy moving gears. But the workers didn't just take this setting down. These harsh conditions eventually forced workers to band together to protect themselves. This led to the very first labor unions. Labor unions are organized groups of workers who team up to fight for better pay and safety. And guess what? Those early unions laid the groundwork for things we love today, like the 2-day weekend. Even though life was tough for the workers, this machine takeover changed the world for consumers. Suddenly, factories could make identical, interchangeable parts. Interchangeable parts means identical machine pieces that can easily replace broken ones. This meant things like clothing and pottery could be mass-produced super fast. And because it was so cheap to make, the cost of everyday goods plummeted, making them affordable for regular people. This new way of making money solidified capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system where private owners, rather than the government, control businesses and trade as the world's dominant system. It created a brand new super wealthy class of factory owners and entrepreneurs. But it didn't just change business, it changed how humans traveled. All that extra factory output accelerated the creation of steam-powered locomotives and massive iron steamships. Suddenly, traveling across oceans or continents took days instead of months. But all this progress came with a heavy cost to our planet. Those thousands of coal-burning factories and locomotives filled the skies with heavy dark smog. And that was the exact moment in history where modern human-driven climate change and air pollution really began. It permanently altered our families, our cities, and our environment forever. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today at Noggs House. The Industrial Revolution completely changed how we used our hands and muscles to build the world around us. Next time we are going to fast forward into the future to see what happened when our machines started to think for themselves in the digital age. I hope you'll come back and join me for that. See you next time.